What's up, guys, and welcome to the show. This is episode 2 of Tyler's Talking RC. I'm Tyler C, here with
Tyler P.
Tyler P. All right, today, guys, we're talking more about racing. We touched on a little bit in our first episode, but we're gonna just kind of run you through I'm gonna say a full race day here at Madness. Obviously, results may vary depending on location, but I feel like it's fairly standard across the board. We're gonna focus on kind of 10 scale racing, but it definitely applies to every scale, just that time of year for us. So we're just going to run you through a day and break it down, comments on each kind of section, and go from there. So I'll start it out here. First thing, you're arriving at the store. Generally, let's say we're going to say like it's a Sunday race, like a trophy event, because they're a little more structured. So you show up. Generally, racing will start like 11 o'clock or so, 11 or 12 o'clock. That's when the races start. Okay, that's not when you arrive. Generally, we'll open the store like 2 hours early, sometimes 3, depending on the scale of the event. For your typical Sunday event, we'll get here about 9 o'clock. And we'll start taking the sign-ups. So don't come in at 11 o'clock and try to get signed up, because at that point he's already printed the heat sheet, which we'll get into in a minute.
Yeah, you're gonna miss the first round.
Yeah, and it's not a good way to make friends with the race director, because it's kind of a pain sometimes to squeeze someone in. But that being said, if you're running late, we'll still help you out. But try to get here early and get that sign up going. And then moving on from signing up, let's talk about maybe finding your spot to set up.
Yeah, which is usually on a Friday night. It's not a problem because there's plenty of space. But for a big race,
Right.
It's good to be early, so you don't end up with the crumbs of what's left.
Yeah, and just generally finding a spot, and with the crumbs being left and stuff, a good etiquette, which we're probably gonna say a lot in this, would be most tracks will have benches that are more or less sectioned up. Like our benches here, they have like a 3 foot by 2 foot section more or less with an outlet. Just take up one space. You do not need 3 spaces to race your car, to set up your charger. Just pick one space. If there's going to be a lot of people here, there's just no need for it. It's just kind of respecting other racers.
Well, I mean, and by the time you have a toolbox that's going to take up some space, maybe,
Right.
and then you have maybe a setup board that's going to take up some space. Realistically, you don't need more than that up top. You can have your pit bag and some stuff like that either under the bench. There's plenty of room, or next to you. You don't need to stack everything on the counter.
Yeah, and of course results are going to vary depending on the track and location and what they have for benches. Again, we're basing this off of what we're familiar with. But for most of the places I've seen, they've had some kind of bench that's divvied up into sections.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys have the placemats here, basically. You have the graphics, so it's pretty clear.
Placemat for each section. So just get a section and be respectful. If somebody's already pitting there, be respectful of their things. There's no need to move or touch somebody else's things. If you see someone taking up 2 spaces, maybe ask them, hey, can I pit here? Most of the time it's not a problem. Oh yeah, let me get that toolbox out of the way. They just set it on the bench or something like that, and you can pull in. Don't be nervous to ask somebody or even approach somebody working at the facility. Be like, hey, there's no space. Generally I can look around and be like, hey, I'll move your stuff over a little bit and let this guy in.
Right, get people to condense.
But that does also come down to getting here a little bit early, because it's going to be easier to find a spot at 9 o'clock than it is 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because generally, the most people that have been into racing are going to be set up at that point.
Right. Now, what about saving spots for your buddy?
That's a good one.
My guys, my 5 closest racing friends are totally coming.
Right. I do see that a lot. It's a tough one because, I get it. At the same time, you want to race with your friends, sit next to your buddies, blah, blah, blah. But if you get here and you've got 5 spaces lined up or an entire bench with people's names on it, and I got people looking for bench space, and your buddies are not here.
Yeah, they're going to go.
It's really a first come, first serve. It's
Right.
really how it has to be. Really just get your buddies to show up early is what it comes down to, because I can't withhold a pit spot for somebody that may be coming.
From someone who's here and has probably already paid their race fee.
Correct.
So that's that all boils down to, there's that word, etiquette.
Right.
Just be polite.
Yeah. It's fine if you want to save a couple spots for your buddies, I get it, but if they're not showing up, we gotta give it to somebody else.
Yep.
So that's, once you got your pit space set up, got your section, you're all good to go. Charger set up, boom, boom. So now you kind of want to start preparing your car for the race or whatever. So generally, you never know if you might be in the first race or the last race. So you got to prepare like you're gonna be up at 11. So get your tires on your car, get your batteries charged up. Any maintenance that you want to do, now's the time to do it. Not 2 seconds before your race, pull the diff out of your car and hold up the whole show.
But it's quick access.
Yeah, it's quick.
Yeah.
But
Nut and bolt checks. Basically, look for loose fasteners. Your camber links and stuff. Any metal and metal connections. And two, I've seen this where people show up and they get everything unpacked and it's a big race night. You want to get the race day. You want to get the jitters out. So you want to run a pack beforehand. You can shoot yourself in the foot doing that, because if you're in one of the first couple heats and you park a hot car at, if race starts at 11, you park the car at 11:59. Now you're worried about overheating your motor potentially too when you go into your race.
Yeah, not even only that. What if you take it out and stuff it into the first corner, break the front end off?
Practicing.
Practices, that's your call whether you want to do it. I would not put 100% effort into that practice and push the car before the race event has even started.
Yeah, be ready when they call your name to go run.
So just generally get ready for your race. Make sure your battery's charged, tires are on the car, the whole show. You're ready to go if you're in the first race, because it's definitely a possibility. It's a random order first race, which segues me into kind of the next thing. So moving on from that, you're all set up, you're signed up, you got a pit spot, things are looking great. Now, what race are you going to be in? So at this point, we're basically at the 11 o'clock mark. Okay, the race director has now made what we call heat sheets. Now, these heat sheets are usually posted in some kind of hard copy, which we hang up depending on location, depends on where it is. Just a printed out sheet with everybody's names, and they're divvied up into races of 6 to 8 racers.
Yep.
Now, for us, because of the timing system we use, Live Time, shout out to them, great system, they post all this stuff online live for us, so you can actually view these sheets on your phone and your lap times and all this stuff, which is very helpful if you don't want to get up and walk over there, really.
So Chris usually will make an announcement. A good race director will make an announcement. The heat sheets are posted, is what you'll hear them say, or something like that, which means...
This is generally slightly before 11, too. Not exactly when we got to start.
Exactly. So usually when they say that, that's when, if you're on the other side of the building and you want to pull your phone out, go to live racing, you can figure out, and you can do it through the RCMadness website if you're running here.
There's links on our site.
And then you can see where you are, and if your buddies are with you or whatever, the 5 guys that you shouldn't have saved spots for.
Gang's all here.
You can see where everybody is. Write it down. Be ready. Be prepared. And that helps too with kind of getting the jitters out. You know when your time is. You can kind of mentally prepare if you're the nervous type.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, you could. Generally, we could probably push that back into getting ready for your race, because usually the computer is set up for set event prior to this, so you can usually find the heat sheets might not be there, but you can have the link ready and your phone ready.
Yeah.
But anyway, you find in your race, so you pull up the heat sheet. Usually it's divvied up for qualifying. It's divvied up per class, so it'll have all the stock buggies, all the stock 4-wheel, whatever you're racing that day. So find the race you're in, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 12, doesn't matter. Just be ready for your race then. So before the first race coming out, we're kind of talking about a larger event, trophy race here. You're going to have to go through tech if you're running any kind of stock or regulated class.
Yep.
Modified classes does not apply, but for the sake of the podcast, we're going to talk about the stock. So you got to go through tech. So you got to know the rules too for your car.
Yep.
If you're running stock buggy, there's certain weights, motor size 17.5, battery voltage regulations, width, all kinds of stuff. And depending on the event, again, they may take more things, they may take less things.
Right. So on a regular Friday night, it's, throw it on a scale. If it's a 2-wheel buggy, make sure it's 1475 grams or more, 74, whatever.
1474.
And then Chris or whomever's running it is going to they're going to put a voltmeter on the battery. They're going to make sure that you're not overcharged to get a little extra pop.
Blinky mode.
And they're going to have you turn on your ESC to make sure that you're in blinky mode.
which generally is just a way of saying the speed control has no advanced timing settings or anything to push more RPMs to the motor, which
Right.
makes a significant difference. And the speed control, the light literally just blinks, so we know the settings are not in there.
Right.
So know the rules and know what they're going to be looking for, so you can set it. Now different tracks will use different scales and stuff, so generally we leave our scale out here, and you might have to weigh your car. It might be a few grams one way or the other for racing, but know what you have to do to get through tech at said event.
Right. And you want it, so if you're the first race of the day, the first qualifier or whatever, you can only go when, before your race comes up. But as soon as the first heat kicks off and there's guys out on the track, don't wait for that heat to finish to come through tech. You should be trying to get through tech during race 1 if you're in race 2, and so on and so
Now,
forth.
the race director should keep up pace with this. They should be calling people to tech. Generally, while, let's say, race 1 is on the track and has just started, race 2 is already coming up through tech.
Right.
To keep things moving. Now, this will be pushed faster or slower depending on the volume of people. But again, just generally be ready for that. Anyway, so we've gone through tech. Your car has passed. Everything is good. Now we're getting into your race on the track, which is probably going to be one of our biggest subjects of the evening, maybe followed by marshalling, which we'll get into after.
Yeah.
So you're on the track and you're racing. So we're just going to talk a little bit about that, etiquette, how it works and stuff like that. So
Yep.
if it's the first race, it's going to be the first qualifying race. So during a qualifier, it is not heads-up racing. The car in front of you may not be in front of you. By that I mean you are racing the clock. And a lot of people forget this. Okay? You're racing the clock in qualifying. That's all you're doing. You're racing yourself, essentially.
Which means let them go.
Right.
Don't
If
try to drag race somebody.
If
If they're faster
somebody's
than
coming.
you gain nothing by holding. You actually lose by holding somebody up, because eventually it's going to be a disaster.
You can
Just
let that
make
car
way.
go behind you because it's completely random order for this first round, okay? You got to understand that. If it's your first race, chances are you're not the best driver here, okay? It's fine. You got to start somewhere. But you may be coupled with the fastest driver there, in which case you're going to have to just, let him by. He's going to come up on you. It's just the way it is. And it's
Right.
not it's not going to hurt your ego or anything. It's just the way it is. And you're not losing the race by letting them go by you. If anything, you're preventing a crash and really hurting yourself. You're trying to get the best time you can to later be placed in the mains, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Right. And there's a flip side to that coin for the faster people. If you are in a qualifier where, you're an A or a B main individual, show some patience. Don't just drill the poor guy that's, it's his first time at the track or whatever.
Right.
Lift a little bit. Like Tyler said, the first round is the one that's randomized. It gets better after that. So be patient.
Just to branch off a little bit on that. After the first round, it is not random, okay? It's based on how you did in that first qualifier to your laps compared to your time. So the next qualifier, you will be paired with literally the closest people driving skill-wise at the event. So
Right.
just try to get to the first round, do as close as you can, keep it as clean as you can, let people go, boom, boom. Next round, you're going to be placed with drivers close to you, in which case the racing generally picks up a little bit faster because there's a little less traffic because you're more or less on the same playing field.
Right.
In which case, usually the second round is one of your best, and then the third round, you're just trying to beat your second round, really, in my opinion.
Yeah. But the second round, things are sorted out. By the third round,
Right.
you're more or less out there with the people you're going to be in the main with.
Yeah, pretty much. But that's just how the qualifying format works. You're racing the clock, not each other.
Yeah.
So going back to letting other people go, we're talking a little bit about just racetrack etiquette in general. We started out with maybe letting the faster guy go by you. No big deal. You're not losing the race by letting them go around you. You're just working together and it's mutually beneficial. So what should we move into next? Maybe when you do crash, when you get into that collision with the faster, different driver, slower driver, whatever, don't don't lose your cool. Basically, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah, there's no. If someone bumps into you, it spins out, you hit them. Blah, there's no sense in yelling and carrying on, and oh, it's your fault. Oh, your fault. Your fault. It happens. We're racing cars on this track, and they're relatively fast. Things can happen pretty quickly. It's not usually somebody's blatant fault for just smashing into you. Not saying that doesn't happen.
Most people don't have enough. Most people don't have the talent to wreck you and drive away and have it be planned.
Yeah.
Usually, that's just what happened.
Yeah, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but it's definitely a lot harder to do and not very common.
Right. And the other thing to keep in mind, and this almost bit me last Friday. My first qualifier, it was rough, and kind of working through the pack. And I made some mistakes, car ended up upside down, blah, blah, blah. I was not having a good run for me. And in the back of my mind is that thought of like, this is a waste of battery, it's a waste of tires. I ought to just pull the car off and wait for round 2. But if you do that, you are guaranteeing that your second round, you're going to be put with the not so, the people who either broke or who didn't run that many laps. So your second round is potentially going to be a not great experience too. So it always pays, as long as the car is not busted, you're not tearing stuff up, to put your head down, try to recover mentally and just run the qualifier. And then if you do okay, the second round, progressively better. And then the third, you have a chance to really kind of refine it and be happy with where you are. And that's where the mental game comes into play.
I call it organized practice when I just keep it on the track. It may not be your best round, but it's definitely a really good time to practice.
Right. and it gives you something to build off. If you pull the car off, you might as well have skipped that round.
I see it all the time when I'm directing races, like the first round will come out, and I'm not having a good round. They'll pull it off. I'm like, okay.
Buckle up for round 2.
And then they come after me for round 2. Why am I in this race? I'm like,
oh yeah.
You only did 5 laps. The computer thinks you're terrible. It's just I can't put you in a better race because you didn't qualify for it. That's not how the game works.
Right, and it's not fair to other people to then walk up to the race director and be like, dude, I'm better than this. Can you just bump me up? It's no. Run.
You got to run your race.
Run the race.
Well, in a little tangent there, but just so when we're crashing into each other, it's usually not anybody's fault. Don't lose your cool.
Yeah.
So to move, do you have something else to add to that?
Communicate.
Okay.
If you're comfortable enough to do it, because it's some people can't drive and chew gum at the same time. And I've been that way for a long time. But if you're on the driver's stand and you're coming up on a car, you know who it is. If you're comfortable saying something, call it out. Steve, I wouldn't be Steve. I'd never catch Steve. But, so-and-so, I'm coming up on you. And, they may say, all right, next turn, I'm going to let you go. And it just makes it more smooth. You don't have to kind of be as close as you can to their car and hope, that they're going to open the door. So that's another thing, is try to communicate and say thank you,
Yeah, and if the race director's paying attention to, you should, say the leader's coming up or leader's got the blue car or blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Something like that, and you kind of know. And you're not always paying attention, so you don't always know. But try to communicate with people. I'm coming up I'm going to go wide here. Okay, and then they take the inside, stuff like that. We try to do that. And that does also take a level of skill. Because
absolutely.
A lot of new drivers are not going to have the skill to know, hence the reason that we're doing this podcast.
Yep.
Just if someone's tailing you really hard, they're holding right behind you a whole lap, boom, boom, real close, just tell them, I'm going to go wide on this corner. And generally, they'll just take the inside. They'll go around. You both can go on. You're losing milliseconds of time.
Right.
Rather than rear-ending you, flipping over a jump, both of you crashing, him yelling at you, the marshal running over there, marshal stepping on the car. Well, just say, I'm going to go wide here. All that avoided. So that's just something to think about. That's some nice etiquette.
Yeah.
A good way to make friends, too, honestly. That makes people generally pretty happy when you let them go a little bit. But let's go back to the crashing. So let's say you've crashed now, and you've broken your car.
Yep.
Snapped the arm off. Can't drive it. 1, don't try to drive it, okay? For one main reason, it tears up the track.
Oh, yeah, it tears up the carpet.
That's what my biggest pet peeve, because I'm usually the one helping put in the carpet and tearing it up and blah, blah, changing the tracks and trying to maintain it. We do not want you dragging parts along the track, cutting up the carpet and stuff like that.
Well, and now you're a rolling chicane at that point.
Correct.
Now
Right.
you're just wrecking it for everybody else, so don't do that.
You're not going to be as fast, and you're going to get in the way of everybody else, as Tyler's trying to say. So you can tear up the track, and you're going to get everybody's way. So if you broke your car, let's pull it aside, park it, okay? Now let's say it dies in the middle of the track. The marshal has picked it up because he noticed the car is broken or not moving. He'll generally probably pick it up and look up at the stand to see whether you think it's broken or what you want to do with it.
Yeah, there'll be some kind of communication that,
Right.
you know.
Just tell him you're broken and to leave it. Just have him put it down on the track. Don't try to run across the track.
Yes.
Don't have the marshal try to run over and hand it to you.
Yes.
Because one, we don't want you on the track because you're just running out in the middle of a racetrack while they're racing, getting in somebody's way. And we don't want the marshal running across track for the same reasons.
Well, and he'd be out of position too.
And he's out of position if somebody flips over where he's supposed to be because you're going to get your broken car.
Right.
Now he's getting yelled at.
Right.
Just everybody, just take a step back, stay up on the stand, set your radio down.
Yep.
Marshal will set the car on the ground, and just let the race go. At most, it's
4 minutes and 59 seconds.
Right. You know what I mean? Chances are you got 3 minutes to wait.
Yeah.
You can wait 3 minutes.
Yep.
And not disturb the race and just let it happen.
And that goes too with, you know, somebody collects you, you crash, you have a heated moment where, you know, maybe the car, you can pull the car off and you're so mad you don't even want to run the rest of the race. Don't make a scene. Don't storm off the driver's stand.
Right.
Because there are, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 other people on the stand.
And you're talking when your car's not even broken. You're just not having a good time.
You're just PO'd.
Something happened and you're not having a good time.
Right. You know, don't make a scene. One, it makes you look silly. But two, it's, you know, all those other people in the driver's stand who maybe 100% of their ability to concentrate and drive. Now there's an elephant storming behind them, you know, because they got into it with somebody.
It's really not a good look, honestly.
It's very much not a good look. So, like Tyler said, you know, turn your radio off if you want, put the thing down, take a step back, take a few deep breaths.
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this a lot this season. Nobody here is getting famous. Nobody here is getting rich.
Just us. Maybe. Long pause. Anyway. Right. I mean, not even talking trophy race. You're on a Tuesday night. You crash your car out or something, or just it is what it is. They are toy cars. We're toy car racing. I cannot tell people this enough.
Yep.
It's fine to take it seriously, but not so serious that it's getting you mad.
Well, right. I mean, if you're, and this goes with anything in life, you know, if you're not enjoying it, you're doing it wrong.
Exactly.
You know, this is a hobby. You're supposed to come here to have fun. Talking to Gnarly Charlie today, I was like, you know, I haven't seen you racing Friday nights. He's like, yeah, I'm just not feeling it. I wanted to come down and practice and just enjoy and goof around. It's like, good for you. That's what the hobby is, to have fun. So do what it takes for you to enjoy it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And I see it all the time. And you should enjoy racing. There's no reason, you know, you wreck your car on the track or whatever, that you get mad, honestly.
Yeah.
But I don't know, what else we got for track etiquette? I know I'm definitely missing something, but
Yeah, I think that's most of it.
be respectful to faster drivers around you.
Yep.
Don't storm off your track. If your car breaks,
Yep. Leave it where it is.
Leave it where it is. The race is over. I think that's about it for track etiquette, right?
I'd say so. Once the race is over, now you've got
Yeah.
now you have new duties.
Yeah, we got a nice fresh one. All right, so you ran your race. Everything went well. You didn't crash. You didn't break. Nobody passed you. You're a superstar. You're feeling good. You come off the track. And guess what? Now it's your turn to marshal. Dun, dun, the dreaded marshalling. A thing everybody hates. The biggest waste of 5 minutes in everybody's life.
Hope you wore your steel-toed boots.
Unbelievable. Just kidding. It's not a waste of time. Basically, for those of you who don't know, marshalling, which I don't really know why it's called marshalling, to be honest with you. I always wondered that myself. Leave a comment if you know. I'm curious. But anyway, so you got to come out and marshal. Essentially, this means you find a position on the track, which generally is marked by some kind of cone or or sticker of some kind.
Flag, identifier, whatever.
That is a marshaling spot. So essentially, when a car flips over on the track, it is your job to flip the car back over, and the race continues. Right after your race, you set your car down, and then you come out to marshal. Notice how I said it like that, okay? You set your car down. We're not taking the body off. We're not plugging in the battery. We're not charging the battery. We're not, I got to check this shock real quick. I got to fix this arm real quick.
I want to go get dinner.
I got to go get a snack. I got to go get this. No. You set your car down, and you come out and marshal. This is very important about in keeping the pace of the event going.
Yeah, if you don't want to be at a race until, for Friday night, if you don't want to leave here at 3 in the morning, if you don't want to leave on a Sunday race at 8 at night.
That is my biggest pet peeve for racing, is when someone comes up to me and says, oh man, we're going to be here till blah, blah, and then they proceed to not come out and marshal and soak up another 5 to 10 minutes of everybody's time because I can't get anybody to come out and marshal.
Or
crazy.
Someone like either you or poor Chris, whoever's the race director,
and then we
has to basically hit the button, start the race, and run out into the middle of the track.
And now we can't call the race because we're out there filling in somebody's position that should be out there already.
Right. So the round that you should be marshaling suffers. The drivers don't have the feedback they should have. They don't have the direction they should have. You're a young guy. I don't feel bad seeing you marshal. But Chris should be able to be here and enjoy and call the races.
Whoa.
And I'm not saying Chris is old.
Well, you said I was young, though.
But I mean, and Chris is awesome on the mic. So you want to hear that. That's part of what's going. Part of the experience. Right. So show up, marshal. Do do what you got to do.
It's really not overly complicated.
It's not.
And just set your stuff down. Come out and marshal. That's really the end of it. You have plenty of time to charge your car or fix that broken arm or whatever you got to do. Don't worry about it. You got time. So that's just getting out to the track. We ain't even talked about actually marshaling yet.
Yeah, marshaling is
just
underappreciated skill.
Getting to the track.
Yep.
All right, so now you're on the track. You've picked a spot, wherever that may be. Some spots better than others, so another incentive to get out there and marshal.
Yeah, the earlier you are, you can
if
go
you run right out there. You get the easy spot. There's always an easy spot, no matter what layout. There's that one corner. One car might flip over.
The beginning of the straightaway where everybody's low speed and then they get on it.
Right.
You can chill the whole time.
Yep, you're not wrong.
But if you wait, you're gonna get the infield where the triple is,
and
you're gonna get hit in the head, and you're gonna deserve it.
Oh, jeez.
Too harsh.
Man, that got dark. Anyway, so you found a spot. So marshaling doesn't really require any skill, but you do have to pay attention.
Yeah, that's the key thing.
So let's say it's a decent spot, or there's a few accidents here and there. So first thing when marshaling, if a car crashes in front of you, flip the car back over where it crashed. Okay, don't throw it into the next lane or throw it 10 feet in front of you or something like that for a few reasons. One, for just generally picking up and throwing the car.
Not great.
Yeah, and just one, if you throw it, it might tumble and land back on its roof.
And now you've got to chase it.
And now you've got to chase it and flip it over again. Now the driver's probably getting heated because you just threw his car on the ground on the roof.
Yep.
Which not good. And also, if you did happen to throw it and it ends up in you turn around and I threw it in this lane, helping him out. Okay. Now the problem I have with that is one, you don't need to help the driver out. He crashed, and by marshaling and flipping his car back over is kind of a penalty for his mess up, the way I see it. And also, the track has what we call a loop underneath it.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can't really see it. It's underneath the carpet, but that is what the transponders pick up when you go around the track, and it counts your laps. So if you happen to be in a spot near the loop, and they pick up your car and then throw you in an opposing lane, you may have skipped the loop altogether, in which case you missed a lap, and you'll have a long lap. It'll drop you down by that lap, so you could go from first to last, depending on how close that race is.
Because the marshal put your car in
Because
the
the
wrong
marshal
spot.
put your car in the wrong spot.
Right. So be mindful of where you put the car. Not just that you put the car back where it belongs, where it went off, but that you don't put it down in front of oncoming traffic or other considerations, which is
Right.
why you don't huck a car, because
Right.
it's even harder to be precise doing something like that.
Basically, you want to grab now. Now, we're gonna have to kind of come from a driver and marshal perspective here because one, I'm gonna go back to if you're on the driver's stand and you're driving. I don't like it when people are sitting there holding the throttle wide open on their car.
No.
They're holding their throttle wide open, flicking the wheels, yelling at the marshal, and their car is revving it up. And
Yep.
now, going back to a marshal perspective, when I see this, I don't want to grab this car when the tires are full spooled up and the wheels are going crazy.
Well, I just won't. I
Yeah.
won't touch the car. I
I'm
mean,
a-
if you're flicking the steering wheel, I don't care about
Yeah.
that. But if you're on the gas, your car's going to sit there until the wheels come
Yeah,
to a complete
there's no
stop.
need to sit there and hold the car wide open while the marshal's trying to grab your car. Nobody wants to grab a spinning tire. I mean, they're spinning
Well,
fast
you'll-
enough
you'll
where
hurt 'em.
they'll hurt your fingers.
Yeah.
Not cool. Just let off the gas. If the marshal's not seeing it, I guess giving it a pump or two and a wheel flick,
Yeah.
maybe. But if the marshal's already in pursuit and you're over there holding it full crank upside down and yelling, dude, no, none of that.
Right.
That's just going to make everybody mad. And the marshal, it may be, like Tyler said, a younger guy like me, an older guy, we move at different speeds.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay? We're all just trying to help. It's your fault you crashed.
Yep.
Okay? So remember that. It's your fault you crashed, not the marshal's fault.
Marshals are not paid employees or gymnasts.
Right.
So,
And then from a marshal perspective, grab the car and set it back on its wheels.
Yeah.
You can take a little bit of time to do that. You don't need to just grab it as fast as you can and fire it back on the ground
yeah.
because it can get sloppy, you know what I mean? You don't want to just whip it back on the ground on incoming traffic and the car bounces, lands on its roof, and
Yep.
flings off. Then you got to run and grab it over there.
Well,
Not
and two, it occurred, like, thinking about the different scenarios that you might encounter. So, if you crash right in front of a jump, in a case like that, if I'm marshaling a car at the takeoff of like a double or a triple, I'm probably not going to put the car right down in front of the takeoff.
Yeah.
I'll probably put the car on the other side of the takeoff.
Yeah. So,
To make it easier
like
for
what
the
you're saying there, basically, you're saying every jump has a takeoff, and he's not putting the buggy right on the face of the jump, mostly because they don't have the power to just straight up clear it right from the face of the jump.
Yeah.
It's just not how the track's designed. And we design our tracks. I can't speak for everybody. Our jumps, you can drive. They're basically curved like this, so you can drive up the lander and then back down. So if you put on the inside of the jump, you can just drive back over it,
Right.
and you're not going to get hit with traffic because now the driver can see, all right, this guy's coming around the corner and he's going to hit this kicker.
Yep.
I'll wait for him to jump and then I'll proceed over the jump
Right.
instead of just throwing them on the face and then this guy coming up and just railing right into the back of them.
Right. And you do something like that so that you don't have to say, so like say the track has a loop in it where there's a jump here. You don't want to say, oh, all right, well, I don't want to put him down in front of the double. I'll just put him on the other side of the pipe, him or her, on
Right.
the other side of the pipe, and then cut out that whole loop, thinking like you're doing them a favor or whatever. The goal of the marshal is not to give someone back time. Put the car
Right.
down as close to where they had an issue as, in a safe
And
spot.
sometimes you're marshaling and one and two are right on each other, and second place kind of catches the pipe trying to go on the inside, and say the marshal's real fast catching him and throws him in the other lane, and now second place has now become first place
Because he had the good luck of crashing.
because he had the luck of the marshal tossing him in the wrong lane,
Right,
and he gained first place because of it.
right.
Not cool.
Be careful where you put your feet too.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't step on cars.
Definitely. Don't step on cars. So yeah, going back to being a marshal, like Tyler said, be mindful of where you're stepping. Easier said than done sometimes. These little things come out of nowhere sometimes, and it just
Yeah,
happens.
I
I
mean-
mean, accidents happen. And
Right.
being a driver, don't be yelling at the marshal. It's not their fault. It happens. I think we missed something about marshaling, though. Yeah, maybe not.
I don't know. I think that pretty much
So
covers
just
it.
come out, do the marshaling, watch your corner, not the race. That's a good one I missed.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes there is a good race on the track, don't get me wrong. 1 and 2, 3 battle, and boom, boom, you're watching. Wow, this is good.
And number
And
4
then-
is upside down
Yeah,
behind you.
and then someone's crashing your corner, and you're over there watching the end of the straightaway. You're supposed to watch your corner,
Yeah.
so try to keep an eye on that. Yeah, no texting. That's a good one too. sitting there on your phone while you're supposed to be marshalling on the track. No.
Yep.
Another thing with the braking too, I always swing back to when the car brakes and the marshal picks it up. Two things. One, if it's a newer marshal or a newer driver, they may not understand what's broken if it's critical. It's not their fault. It's not their job to assess the damage right there. If they see something dangling off, it could just be a ball cup, and you got
Pop it back on.
Someone like me might know that. Oh, I can just pop this ball cup back on and toss the car back out there. But someone that's been doing it for a week, one, they're going to be nervous to even touch your car.
Yep.
And two, they might not even know how that ball cup works. You know what I mean? They just built their first car.
Yeah.
You can't expect them to, oh, why couldn't you just pop that back on and get me back up? No,
Yeah,
you can't. If someone come and yell at me for it, I'd kind of understand. But if it's their first time, you can't just, your car broke, your ball cup popped off. It's broken, technically.
Right.
It's not their fault. So keep in mind who's marshalling, and it's not their fault.
Right.
But it's really a mutual between the drivers and the marshalling working together, and just paying attention is really what it comes down to. Paying attention and keeping cool.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's marshalling. I do want to talk about the mains a little bit, though. So you've done the qualifying, you've done your marshalling. You go into the second round. Generally, we run a third round for the larger events. So you get 3 chances to qualify, racing the clock, not each other.
So this was a question that a buddy of mine came to watch us Friday, and he didn't understand.
All right.
He said, is the qualifying order based on your hot lap or the totality of your best run?
Right. So hot laps do not matter for anything other than bragging rights. And it is based on, if it's a 5-minute race, it's based on the amount of laps you have done in that 5 minutes. So you do 20 laps in 5 minutes and 8 seconds. That's what that number means. Or 21 laps in 5 minutes and 12 seconds, blah, blah.
Because you get to finish. So when the bell rings and it's over, you finish the lap you're on, which is why you'll always hear results given with that additional couple seconds. That's how long it took that car to finish the lap that they were on. So the lower the number after the minutes, like 3 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever, the lower the number, the better, which feels a little backwards, but that's how that works.
Yeah, so fast lap, while it's good to have fast lap, if it's a good fast lap, I suppose that's an argument, but does not really matter.
Right.
It's really the laps to the time ratio is how you are sorted. So, yeah, it's good that we cleared that up. So you did the 3 rounds based on your laps to the time. First round, random. Second round, you're put with the drivers closest to you. And third round, same thing, put with the drivers closest to you. Now the mains have rolled around. This is the main event. That's what it's short for, mains. If there's a lot of people, there's going to be A, B, C, D, E, whatever amount of mains there needs to be for said driver. A being the final best drivers that there is. And there's usually 8 drivers in a main. That'll depend on track size too.
Yeah.
That's just what we'd run here generally. So A being the best and Z being the worst, essentially.
Right.
So we do what we call bumps here too. So if you're in the B main, the top 2 drivers from the B main will then proceed to the A main for a chance to win in the A main. Really just a chance for the drivers to get to run again, and also if said B main driver has not very good qualifying and they're really a really good driver, they just had some really bad luck throughout the day.
Yep.
It gives them a chance to actually win the show, which has happened several times.
Yep.
So your mains, so your qualifying has led to the mains. All the qualifying does is lock in your position for the main. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the starting grid. That's all the qualifying really does. That's all it's for.
And now that's a key difference too between a qualifying round and the main. The qualifiers, basically, everybody doesn't start running at the same time. The way that they run them here, at least, which is what IFMAR style, I think they call it.
Correct.
You have your 6 cars in the heat, and when the bell goes off, car number 1 goes, and then the race director will call
by name.
Within a second or two, he'll call the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. So by the time everybody gets rolling, they're spaced out and everybody has half a chance of kind of, just running their own race. They've got some track in front of them and behind them, and they're safe. With the mains, with every main, it's up. The cars are lined up, and then
go.
Like
Formula One race. Right on the starting grid.
Right, from a dig, from a dead
Bell
start.
goes, bing, track is live. This is heads-up racing. You are racing the car in front of you at this point.
Right.
So this is where things tend to get generally a little more aggressive. Because you are not racing the clock, you are racing the car in front of you.
Unless you're
unless you're a lap down.
Unless you're polite enough like me, where you wreck on the first lap and let everybody in front of you, and then you're out of the way. You can just kind of do your own thing.
You're so humble.
Dude, that's been the last 3 weeks for me.
That's rough. I've been doing pretty good. I don't even remember what we were talking about there.
The mains,
yeah,
how they sort them all out.
Yeah, we were sorted out. So, yeah, you basically just put on your starting grid based on your qualifying time.
Yep.
And you're not racing the clock at this point. Like I said, you're running heads up, so you're not so apt to let drivers by at this point. You're running the A main. It's a little, it's not, like in the qualifying, it's just straight etiquette to let people by, but at this point, you're put with the drivers that are closest to you in driving skill.
Right.
So right now, you guys might, like, when we race, we might follow each other for 5, 8, 10 laps right behind each other. We're not going to let each other go at this point.
Right. You'll see people start, blocking and holding a tighter line than they might want to, just to take away,
racing each other at this point.
Close the door.
Right.
Yeah.
Running a tight line and not really letting people by. This is where usually some crashes happen. Mm-hmm. This is where people can get a little aggressive on the stand, yelling and carrying on because it matters the most right now. Because this is it. We don't get another qualifier to try this. This is the mains.
But realistically, maybe on a trophy race, right? You really want to take home that plaque. It looks so good. The graphics are so sharp.
It's because I made them so nicely.
But on a Friday night, what do you win if you win your main?
Well, you mostly just get to brag to your friends.
Right. And how much are your friends going to love you if you wreck them on your way to that win?
Just depends on the friend.
I guess.
But I don't think they all love you.
My point is, though, it's like, you're really not going to, even if you win the A,
there's
cool,
no need to,
I won the A. But if you took somebody out to do it, you've lost.
There's no need to get upset even at this point. I'm just saying it's a little more aggressive in the mains.
It is.
Because it's heads-up racing.
It definitely is. But
there's still no need to take somebody out or get mad if you get taken out.
Right.
It's racing.
Right.
But you should be having fun.
Right. I think that the mains are where it kind of, you get a little more of the rubbins racing kind of mentality. But you still should try to make your passes clean. You don't want to just completely drill somebody because they were in front of you and you wanted the position. At the end of the day, you've got to, when the racing's over, that person is going to be there the next day practicing, and you're going to see them, and,
Yeah, you don't want any conflict, you know what I mean? Because you are going to probably see these people again, you know what I mean? Oh, Tyler's getting a little drink there, don't worry about it.
Sorry, I have a drinking problem.
Oh, it's just water, folks.
This time.
Jeez, I was trying to have your back there. But anyway, yeah, the mains have happened, we've moved on. Had a good race. Let's say you won your race. You're feeling good. You're on cloud 9. You're looking up your sponsors. The whole show. But it's the end of the day. We're not quite over yet. Generally, at a larger event like a trophy race, there's trophies. That's why we call it trophy racing. So usually a race announcer will say we're going to hand out trophies. We got some nice little stands. If you guys follow us on Facebook, where we usually seen our pictures of the little podiums we got set up and the awards that I make with the little plaques with the stickers and stuff. It's pretty cool. So generally, if you've won, stick around because we're going to have a photo op, and it's really helpful to us as a business to have the photos so people can see what you've won and really to be posted up for you, really.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Like it's
nice to have a nice full picture with all the guys that participated smiling, and it's
for the business.
No, for a business standpoint, yeah, it's
right.
Nice.
I never thought about that.
Well, it's
true.
It makes everybody. It usually gets people a little more involved, and people see it that maybe want to come race and like, wow, look at that! All people were there taking pictures and they won, blah blah.
Yep.
And I think it's good for morale. So stick around for your picture if you want. Even if you didn't win, stick around, hang out. Sometimes I take some group shots and stuff like that. And generally a little bit of practice going on afterward, depending on at what hour we finish.
Yeah, right.
So you've had your award and stuff like that. My last big thing on racing, which we can elaborate on some other things, but cleaning up.
Please clean up.
Okay, generally you've been here all day, which I understand. You may have gotten some food, some drinks, you had some snacks, you're having a good time. I get it. Just throw away your trash.
Yeah.
Okay?
In a garbage receptacle.
We have
The floor is not thrown
47
away.
garbage cans here, everywhere, all over the place.
Yep.
And yet I still find garbage on the benches, outside, I find it on the floor, literally everywhere. Just please throw it away. That's mostly from a faculty point of view. I mean, it's just not fun cleaning up other people's garbage.
It's not, and I mean, so like Tyler and I hang out. We do this podcast stuff. I don't work here, but I'll come here and clean up. And you got to remember, like, this is someone's livelihood. You know, whether you're here at RCMadness or whether you're at a track in general, somebody is putting in probably very long hours to give you, the individual, a place to come and have fun and go fast and do your thing. Show it a little bit of love. Show it some respect. Treat it better than you would treat your own place. You know, wipe your feet. Like, that's kind of the mentality. Because this is, this is not some huge corporation. Most of these tracks are independently owned. I think all of them are, I'm sure. So don't treat it, you're not at a McDonald's. Clean up after yourself. Show some respect.
Don't leave behind your dead batteries. Don't leave that spent set of tires on the. Don't leave your garbage out there. Empty packages. I see packages for parts that are just thrown everywhere. Plastic on the ground.
Half full drinks.
Yeah, half full drinks.
Go dump your drink out. Throw it in the trash.
Just if the bench was empty when you came in,
it should be empty when you leave.
Empty when you leave. It's kind of those small things that make the difference too, because there's nothing like coming in on a Monday on your day off and having to pick up everybody's garbage from Sunday. Not fun.
Yep.
But that's not everybody. But just in general, clean up anywhere you go in life. Really, just clean up after yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty much it on that. Anything else you want to touch on here for racing? Just in general.
Storage charge your batteries. Pack up your gear. Grab your plaque.
Head on out.
Go home and post all the selfies you want. I don't know.
Thank your sponsors. I see that.
Sponsor?
What?
What's a sponsor?
What's a sponsor? He's joking, folks. But yeah, that's basically racing in a nutshell. Yeah, just a recap on that. Oh, watch the mic. Start of the day, come in, sign up, set up your pit space, don't take up too much space. Find what race you're going to be in. Make sure your car is following track rules. Get it through tech. After tech, get in your race, get up on the track, run your race, make it clean, communicate with people. Don't get mad. There's really no point. We're playing with toy cars here, guys. No matter how serious it is, that's what they are. And then marshalling, you're done your race, come on out of marshal, pay attention when you're marshalling, flip the car over where it needs to be. Don't try to be a Superman and run that thing around the track for the guy. Just put the car back on the ground and pay attention. And if your car does break during the race, you can fix it after the race. You don't need to fix it in the middle of the racetrack. Swinging back to racing right there. I see it all the time. Oh, I can fix it right here. You're in the middle of the lane on the racetrack. Get off the track and fix it. And then, just the end of the day, once you're done doing all that stuff, clean up, head home, and come again. That's racing in a nutshell.
Yeah.
If you guys have any more questions or anything like that and want me to elaborate on some of these, obviously feel free to message me either in the comments on YouTube or Facebook page, RCMadness Enfield. And then just check us out on Instagram, YouTube, and all the above.
Yeah.
All the links and everything will be posted down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're on Apple Podcasts, check out the YouTube channel. We do more than just podcasts on the YouTube channel. And check out Tyler P's YouTube channel, The Unknown Driver, if you're into vintage cars. He is very into vintage cars. Check out his. He just did one on which car?
The Tamiya Bush Devil
The Bush Devil.
from 1992. So.
Sounds dirty, but it's not. So
Phrasing.
check that out. Next week, episode 3 will be coming out. Stay tuned. I'm going to try to drop them every Thursday. We're going to talk about tools and maintenance next week. Tools and maintenance leading off of racing. But as always, thanks for watching, guys. And we'll catch you next week in the next episode.